Hello everyone, I hope that you are doing well. So without wasting any time, let's move to the newspaper. First we will identify the important news and then we'll move on to the analysis section. So hello everyone, this is Friday, May 13, 2022, the Hindu Daily edition. So without delay, as usual, let's move on to first identification of the most important news followed by a detailed analysis, okay? So let's see, retail inflation, CPI has reached to 7.8%, okay? This is an important news, but just know the figures that it is moving about to 7.8%. The breach was 6%, okay? This was the breach level, the threshold level, and this has been breached. Fine. Gotabaya appoints Ranil as Sri Lankan Prime Minister, okay? Finland leaders in favor of seeking NATO membership. Court not for videography inside Gyanvapi Mosque, okay? Kashmiri Pandit shot dead in JNK. Now this is one of the developments regarding Russia-Ukraine crisis. Now Russia will obviously will say not to join them, okay, or else it will retaliate. Fine. Kashmiri Pandit not required for our examination. Gyanvapi Mosque not important. Event Horizon reveals true color of SHGs. This is important. Okay, let's see. There is nothing out here. There is nothing out here. Okay, there is nothing out here. Okay, there is nothing out here. On this page there is an advertisement on the editorial page with delimitation over a look at state of JNK. Okay, I don't think it would be important. If you want to know about Jammu and Kashmir and all those things, it is good, but for exam point of view it is irrelevant. Importance of consent. The institution of marriage cannot be allowed to sanction force and violence. I discussed over it yesterday, right? Because it would be saying equality and all those things. But again, the only one thing that remains unsolved is how would you prove the consent? Even today, consent is not evenly proved, right? And if one turns hostile after giving consent, then what will be done? And what about the gender neutrality? These are the three important aspects. Okay, so let's see. India needs a credible count of it not required. Rise of the sun, not required. Okay, we'll do this. At least one editorial we should read. Okay. Did RBI wait too long? Not required. If you want to read, you read it, but that's not the point of discussion for our examination. On the question of notifying minorities, yes, we'll be doing this. First, we'll do the gist, and if required, we'll go inside the article as well. The Indian Hypertension Control Initiative, yes, we'll be doing this. It is related to health aspect of our paper 3, and now will not be doing this page because it is related to movies, which seldom comes in our examination. Okay. Current ordinance route not required. Okay, this is important. Let's say refusal to give interim. We have to see because LIC IPO has been in news all over the news recently, right? So we must know about it. Okay, KTR was Telangana. PCC expels not required. Global efforts to curb match fixing. Okay, this is just a call. General Pandey reviews situation in Ladakh. Okay, they must be held for graft charges. Dismissed not required. Call for WHO reforms. Those who see Congress Free India will be decimated. Okay, to a party to take on BJP not required. Full coverage of government scheme will end appeasement politics, right? Okay. Modi to hold. Okay, they were okay. Congress continues to not required. After years of rescuing wild orchid. Okay, you can just give it a read, but not that much. Anger risk from climate threat. This is very important. If we report to a beneficiary, don't take refills. Okay, we'll be doing this. This is related to Ujjwala. Okay. The son can't leave the country, says court. Okay. Seeking to counter China, Biden host ASEAN leaders. UK will act if Northern Ireland Brexit deal is not changed. Now when their interest comes out, okay, UK, then it will act, fine. But when the interest of Ukraine or India is there, then they will preach. This is the difference. This is how West plays politics. Okay. Okay. Growth to be almost 8% is fiscal, and who has said this? Finance Ministry has said, okay, we'll give it just a read, not more than that, because it is expected to be 8% in this fiscal. This fiscal has already started, but not, it has just begun only, right? Okay, IIP industrial output has expanded to 1.9. Okay, hit second, okay, not required. Mm-hmm. Mumbai Indian crushes Super Kings, okay, and both of them got eliminated. Fine, fine. So with this we come to end of today's, I think, yes, we come to end of analysis part. Sorry, we come to end of identification part, and let us now move to analysis part, right? So this is our first news. Retail inflation quickens to an almost 8-year high at 7.8%. So it is talking about CPI, and we know that CPI is published by which authority? CSO or NSO? CPI, NSO, right? Okay. It has been about 7% in March and now 8.4%. Okay, wait, 7.8% in April from 7% in March. So about 1% increase is there, right? From 7% to 8% in a month. Fine. Month on month, quickening 7. Okay, these are things. NSO, it is there. Look, the NSO. Okay, I've already said about this, that NSO publishes. Remember these things, because these things are often asked in exam, that who publishes these data, right? Food cost led surge. Okay, there is a food cost surge in CPI, CFPI, Consumer Food Price Index. Okay, fourth month in a row, retail inflation has remained above 6%. Sharp acceleration in retail inflation expectation, central bank rush to. Okay, this acceleration in retail inflation has led to central bank rush to rise the interest rate in an off-cycle meeting last week. Okay, crude price surge has been there, food price surge has been there. Okay, and this is mainly attributed to war. This is mainly attributed to pandemic recovery. Fine. Rural inflation is also on high, urban inflation is also on high. Okay, health services was turning structural, lying below above 6% for 16 months now, they are pointed out. You understand this? So inflation level in our country is all, look, 4 plus minus 2% is the level, right? Means tolerance level is what, 2% to 6%, but right now it is about 8%, so it is 2% higher than 6% mark month on month basis, okay, compared to last month. Fine. So this is there. We have to see quarterly figure and annual figures as well, because it may be possible that in average it may come below 6. Okay. Less impact on low income strata, finance ministry has said. Recovery of aggregate demand remained gradual, and finance ministry said earlier. Okay, India's inflation experience has not been as bad as several advanced nations. Looking ahead, inflation trajectory will be influenced by geopolitical situation, international commodity prices, and supply chain management. These three things are, remember, for inflation, write these things, write these aspects. What are these aspects of inflation? Inflation, supply chain management, geopolitics, and the third thing is international commodity prices. Okay, international prices. Now these three things will determine the level of inflation in an economy, right? Now Finland, leader in favor of seeking NATO membership, they should refrain from these things. In my opinion, they should come together and solve the issue instead of taking membership of NATO and all those things. That would just lead to more militarization of the region, right? And they may now be heading towards a full-scale economic war in Europe, which will be first fought at economic level, followed by a multi-level war, multi-dimensional war, right? Event horizon. What is event horizon? Event horizon is nothing but, say this is black hole. So light cannot escape this black hole, but when light comes, it starts to circulate around the black hole, like satellites circulate around the Earth, right? And this gets captured, which is called event horizon, right? Look, this is the event horizon, what I'm shading. Okay, this is event horizon. Okay, now let's see. Scientists from Earth Horizon Telescope facility at press conference held simultaneously at several centers around the world on Thursday revealed that the first image of black hole at center of Milky Way, image of Sagittarius A, gave further support to the idea that compact object at center of our galaxy is indeed a black hole, strengthening Einstein's general theory of relativity. Okay, so this has given us proof that the massive gravity object in the center of the Milky Way galaxy is nothing but a black hole. In 2019, Event Horizon Telescope facility collaborated over 300 researchers made history by releasing the first image of black hole. The image of black hole at the center of the galaxy, which is super giant elliptic galaxy, right? The ring shaped image SHGA, which looked a lot similar to the one M87, occupied 52 micro arc second in field of view, which is as big a span of our view as donut on the moon. Okay, The whole exercise was possible because of the enormous power of Event Horizon Telescope and in several telescopes around the world, which together were like giant eye on the Earth with sight that is 3 million times sharper than human eye. Okay, at the press conference, the researcher said imaging Sagittarius A was more difficult than imaging initial black hole for following reason. First, Sagittarius A is the only 1,000th the size of M87. Second, the line of sight is obscured by lot of matter, and as Sagittarius A is much smaller than M87, the gas swirling around it takes only minutes to complete an orbit around Sagittarius A, and opposed to taking weeks to go around M87. The last gives a variability that makes it difficult to image. A clear imaging requires long exposure of 8 to 10 hours, where ideally the object should not change much. In this relation, Venkatesh Ramakrishna, a doctorate researcher at Aalto University, a member of calibration and imaging team, says since the physics of plasma flows around SGRA changes on an hourly time scale, getting a coherent image with all relevant information from photon corresponding to one orbit is difficult. This requires higher sensitive observation, which comes with additional telescope to EST, which advanced reconstruction algorithms. You understand now? So what is the problem with this SGRA? The problem is small size and high speed. Okay, these two are leading to what? Low capturing, right? So we are done with this. I think there was no other news on this page, and nothing here, nothing here, nothing here, and nothing here. As usual, we do the editorial at last, right? SC refuses to give interim relief against LIC IPO. Okay, what is the? It issues notice to central government. The Supreme Court on Thursday refused to grant any interim relief against the sale of 3.5% shareholding of the government in LIC. Okay, how many? Through an IPO, 3.5% shareholding. A bench, however, issued a notice to the government on the question whether the IPO would amount to expropriation of surplus asset available to policyholder in favor of shareholder. The court also took note of challenges to amendment made to LIC Act through Finance Act, which was passed as money bill. It tagged the issue with the reference of pending before a constitutional bench as examining the legality of passage of amendment in Finance Act as money bill. Okay, the petition contended that amendment made to ITNA to facilitate IPO amounted to expropriation of surplus asset from policy holders to shareholder. Okay. Okay, they said that unreasonable, manifestly arbitrary, expropriationary act. Okay, fine. So there's the person who has filed this case. It says that it is unreasonable to dilute the 3.5% shareholding of government. It is unreasonable and not required, and on that Supreme Court has refused to give interim relief. And as far as IPO is concerned, that is called initial public offering. Okay, whenever a company wants to dilute its share, it will go through IPO is one of the routes. Okay, let's see if anything else is remaining. On this page nothing, on this page nothing, on this page yes, this is the important news. Hunger risk from climate threat. IFPRI project scenario of 2030 keeping impact of climate change in mind. India food production could drop 16% and numbers of those at risk for human hunger could increase by 23% by 2030 due to climate change, says a report by IFRI. Okay, International Food Policy Research Institute on Climate Change and Food System. The projections are part of the model that was used to evaluate impact of climate change on aggregate food production, food consumption, net trade of major food commodity groups, and the population at risk of going hungry. Impact, as the model is called, simulates national and international agriculture markets. Okay, it was developed with inputs from scientists from CGIAR and other leading global economic modeling efforts. The report noted the number of Indians at risk from hunger in 2030 is expected to be 73.9 million, and if the effect of climate change were to be factorized, it could go up to 90.6 million. Okay, the aggregate food production index will under similar condition drop from 1.6 to 1.5. On a positive note, climate change will not impact the average calorie consumption of Indian, and in this projected to remain roughly the same at 2600 kilocalories per capita by 2030. Okay, baseline projection indicate the global food production will grow by about 60% over 2010 levels, and by 2050 in the context of climate change. Production and demand are projected to grow more rapidly in developing countries due to projected growth in population and income. However, the long-term impacts of COVID-19 and other current geopolitical factors has not yet been incorporated in this projection. Diets are also shifting towards higher value food. Okay, including more food, vegetable, processed food, animal source food, and outside high income countries. Meat production is projected to double in South Asia, West and Central Africa by 2030 and triple by 2050. Despite the per capita consumption level in developing countries will remain less than half of those in developed countries. However, regional differences in access to food, that nearly 500 million people are projected to remain at risk of going hungry. Globally, about 70 million more people will be at risk of hunger because of climate change, including more than 28 million people. Okay, these are the data. Means what does it want to say? There is a hunger risk from climate change that would be associated, and by 2030 it would be easily visible, right? There are some data. Just jot down one or two data that you can directly write as an example in answer of food, poverty, climate change, etc. These where these dynamics are interplayed, right? Ujjwala LPG scheme, 90 lakh beneficiaries don't take refill. Over 1 crore customers got refill only once, shows RTI report. In financial year 2021, 90 lakh beneficiaries of Narendra Modi government flagship welfare scheme Ujjwala Yojana did not take refill gas cylinder, and over 1 crore beneficiary got the refill only once, which means what? That people have been given gas cylinders and in Ujjwala 2.0 even stoves for free. Initially the first payment is free, and after that they are not willing to take, means they are still shifting back to the traditional way of cooking, right, which is more polluting in nature. They have the option for gas stove, but it is basically due to the affordability factor that they are shifting back to those highly polluting fuels. Okay, these revelations come against the backdrop of much feted Labharti or beneficiary class, which reportedly voted in good number with BJP in recent elections, especially in Uttar Pradesh Assembly. This was revealed in a reply to RTI application filed by activist Chandrasekhar Gaur with the three oil marketing firms IOCL, HPCL, VPCL. The scheme was originally launched on May 1, 2016 in Balia, Uttar Pradesh by Prime Minister. Okay, so far we have 9 crore connections in Ujjwala under Ujjwala Yojana has been released in 2.0, which was launched in 2021-22, making a provision for release of additional 1 crore connection. According to RTI, IOCL for okay, these are the data. Okay, now let's see the reasons. COVID effect. This figure should also take into account the fact that during COVID-19 pandemic, the government provided up to 3 free of cost LPG refills to Ujjwala Yojana beneficiaries. Okay, the beneficiaries have availed themselves 14.17 crore free refills under the scheme across the country, as per the same reply. Okay, Congress leader Bardoli, a member of Standing Committee on Petroleum, told the Hindu that while some schemes were started with good intent, it has inherent flaw with which the government has failed to address. The people are shocked to realize that they have to pay full amount even under the scheme for subsequent cylinder. The subsidy is transferred into their account by oil marketing firms. While the firms claim that they have distributed the subsidy, we don't know whether it has reached the beneficiary in time. The cylinder comes up being used as showpiece in their homes. This is one of the fact that yes, due to high cost, it may become a showpiece in the home. This may be a bit falsy and politically motivated, that whether it has reached beneficiary or not, because look, it is that DBT directly to the bank transfer, so in most of the cases it will reach there. It is not being given by some middleman, so the corruption chances are negligible here. Okay, so this is the news. So you have to understand that LPG scheme has been doing good, but there are flaws, and the flaws is cost, affordability plus pandemic. Pandemic has created its own flaws, right? Okay, let's see if anything else is remaining in news section. I don't think anything here was remaining. No. GDP growth to be almost 8% this fiscal. Budget capex driven fiscal part to help economy weather inflationary headwinds. Okay, the capex driven fiscal part laid out in union budget will help economy to weather inflationary headwinds and post almost 8% real growth. Real growth it is talking about, not nominal growth. So 8% plus about 6 to 7% inflation. So it is talking about 6 to 8% inflation. So it is talking about 14 to 16% nominal growth rate, right? Which is a very high figure. I don't think this would be achievable given the current situation. Okay. The main ministry GDP growth projection is faster than 7.2% pace. Okay. Everything else, it seems, yes, this would be a thing. It seems that everything else is just data. FPI outflow pressure. The ministry blamed the steady declining forest reserve due to pressure from outflow of foreign portfolio investment responding to monetary tightening by central bank in advanced economy. Look, this is one of the reason of going out, but the major reason is good performance of dollar against other currency, which means other currencies are actually facing a downward trend. Okay, they are not performing well. Therefore, the reserves that we have in that currency actually is down performing, which is dragging down our asset, our forex reserve. Okay. However, quantum of outflow in April was much lower than the previous 3 months, which pointed out. Okay, it is about on April 29, which will provide import cover of about 11 months for financial investment and consumption in the country. Okay. There is nothing else here. So try to understand this thing in a broader perspective, that yes, we the ministry hopes to have a nominal growth rate of about 14 to 16% and a real growth rate of about 8%, and there has been a pressure of FPI outflow pressure has been there on the economy, and but with capex expenditure it is hopeful that we'll weather the inflationary headwind. But again, capex expenditure does not directly translate into a tool to counter inflationary headwinds, right? Capex expenditure needs time because there is a gestation period associated with it. Okay, but let's be hopeful. We cannot be unhopeful, right? And with this, we have come to end of the news analysis section. Now let us go directly to the editorials. Okay. So this is our editorial: importance of consent. Yes, in any kind of relationship, be it legal, be it emotional, anything, the consent of both the parties is very important. So we must note that consent of not only female but both partners is important. This is one parameter. Now let's see, the institution of marriage cannot be allowed to sanction force and violence. True, the institution of marriage cannot be allowed for this. Okay, there has been a split in verdict. Yesterday I talked about it. Okay, Harisankar, okay, the other judge said that any change in law has to be carried out by the legislature since it requires consideration of social, cultural and legal aspect. With judges differing on key points such as difficulty in getting evidence, this is one of the matter. The importance of consent. Okay, whether the state's concerns about safeguarding the institution of marriage were valid, and if other law against sexual violence protected married women, the issue involved may have ultimately adjudicated with help of third judge or a larger bench of High Court or Supreme Court. No, don't go for it right now. We have other issues to deal with, right? Getting one more case there will be a problem. Instead, try to solve it on a personal level. Okay, that would be better, because India is a country of diversity. We don't have a uniform civil code here, and if we go on to do this and without any protection against the person who does a fake case with such laws in hand, then it would again lead to one more instance or case of legal terrorism, right? The union government has been opposing the removal of marital rape exception. In 2016, it has rejected the concept of marital rape, saying it cannot be applied to Indian context due to various reasons, not least because the mindset of the society to treat marriage as a sacrament. However, it is in the final hearing, the union government did not take a stand on the issue. Goes to the heart of the matter. Justice Shakdher opinion goes to the heart of the matter. In as much as it treats the absence of consent as the core ingredient of rape, he says what is defined as rape in law should be labeled as such irrespective of whether it occurred within or outside the marriage. True, he finds that marital exception violates equality before law as well as deprive women of the right to trigger prosecution for non-consensual sex. Now this is what should not be there. Deprives not women, but it should be deprives partner. Okay, it should be a better word, because why women only? Why cannot men? Or why cannot a third gender? Why women only? No, this is not equality. This can never be equality. How giving someone some special power, a particular section becomes equality? It is more a case of equity than equality, right? Besides, it also decriminalizes among women based on their marital status and robs them of sexual agency and autonomy. Besides, it also discriminates among women based on their marital status and robs them of their sexual agency and autonomy. Okay, so it wants to say that any woman who is married versus any woman who is non-married, so married women would be subject to marital rape kind of thing, while it is not for the case of unmarried women. So in that case, we see that it is a kind of discrimination. True. In contrast, the other opinion, however, somewhat disconcertingly de-emphasized on the element of consent and lays more important to store the importance of prevailing institution of marriage to such an extent that he holds that any legislation that keeps rape out of marital relationship is immune to interference. If marriage is regarded as partnership between equals, an exception in 162-year-old law should have no place. While there are other law governing civil relationships that legitimated conjugal exceptions, These cannot be seen as giving a free pass for violence within the marriage, which is essentially what sex without consent is. Whether the legislative route is more appropriate in making marital rape a criminal offence is a matter of detail. What is important is that sexual violence has no place in society and institution of marriage is no exception. Yes, this is correct. Any kind of violence has no place in the society and marriage cannot be an exception to this. But at the present moment, in my view, there are other very important topics to be dealt with, and they should be dealt with first, and along with that the government should try to fine tune these laws so that things could be accommodated. Just striking down a law will not be a solution. That yes, there is a law, I will strike it down. Then what would be the substitute for that law? How would that law be how would the after effects be overcome, right? So these things are there. Therefore we need to fine tune this law better rather than just removing them and getting leaving a place for various kind of interpretations, right? So center should try to narrow it down to as much as possible, like defining a marital rape, what exactly is marital rape, what will not constitute marital rape, what would be the premises of concern, so what would be the premises of consent, and all those things should be seen. What are the legal procedures to be followed while proving things regarding concern? Will the provisions of CRPC or Evidence Act would be applicable here, or principle of natural justice will be applicable? All these things should be considered, and then we should reach to a decision rather than just ignoring the basic principle and striking down the law. In my opinion, that won't do any good to the society. Instead, all stakeholders should come to a table. Center should try to devise a law which is more productive than being counterproductive, right? Okay, let's see the next news. It was on text and context pages. On the question of notifying minorities, who assign minority status to community, center, state, or both? Section 2F of National Commission for Minority Education says minority for purpose of act means a community notified by such by a central government. Okay, so central government. The PIL argues that center's notification has created an anomalous situation in which community declared as minority by center enjoys the status even in states or UT where they are in majority. Yes, this is also truth. Means center when decides about a minority, it becomes applicable to the entire territory, and say in some of the state they are majority, like for example say Kerala or anywhere where they are majority, right? So what will happen? They will also take the benefits of minority there. 6 community currently notified as minority communities are Muslim, Christian, Sikh, Buddhist, Parsi, and Jain. Okay, so these are the 6 minorities of India. Okay, let's see how has center responded. What next? Okay, we'll give it a very brief read. Who is minority and who decides that? Okay, 14, 15, 21, 29, 30 of the Constitution. Minority for purpose of the Act means community as central government and National Commission. Okay, the central government appoints minority. Remember this, because this will be if a question comes from here, this will be a statement based, right? Okay, fine. Give it a read. I don't think there is anything in this. Okay, explainer. Now let's see the second explainer. What is India's hypertension control initiative? How do state and country fare on hypertension spectrum? Which state have higher percentage of blood pressure? Hypertension was defined as having a systolic blood pressure level greater than 140 mmHg or diastolic level greater than 90, and taking anti-hypersensitive medication to lower his or her blood pressure. The Indian Hypertension Control Initiative has found that nearly 1/4 of the patient under the program has uncontrolled blood pressure. 1/4. Can you imagine this? This is a critical case of NCD pandemic. Okay, 1/4 people are actually under the challenge of this blood pressure. Kerala ranks highest, about 33% men, 1/3 men, and about 31% women being diagnosed with hypertension. Fine. So this is the thing. Okay, let's see. Project called India Hypertension Control Initiative. Okay, has found out that 1/4 of the people are actually having hypertension. Private initiative to monitor that. Okay, these are things. India has committed to a 25 by 25 goal, which aims to reduce premature mortality due to NCD by 25% by 2025. One of the 9 voluntary targets include reducing prevalence of high blood pressure by 25% in 2025. The program was launched in 2017. Okay, how many have been enrolled in this program? Okay, found so far. We have seen what it has found. Fine. So just remember this 25 by 25 program. This is important. This can be asked in news if a question at all comes on hypertension. Okay. And I think yes, with this we come to end of today's news analysis. Okay, as usual, your homework, comment below which article news you will use as example case study in your answer of which subject. Okay, means GS 1, 2, 3, 4, essay, optional, right? You know I read each and every comment, so do comment. I'll give you feedback where necessary. And with this, I'm ending today's newspaper analysis. Okay. So friends, I really hope that you like this video. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe our channel and share this video with your friend. Follow us on Telegram as well. Also, keep studying hard, keep following your dreams and keep tuned to our channel. Comment below for any suggestion. Till then, goodbye, good luck, keep studying hard.